Fast forward, any come our channel so AGH Politics Avenue. Political source trainer because make headlines. Na jemre na edibi exomo e wo ha ni dem ya horaxi mo ambe shock se onia yenko eye political highways ni ejedem a enye asem koto akra. Na eye Kwabena edu Boahen onia the trial na ekoso no ye bobo ewuram ene edue na eye the witness etimi amiki some testimonies be against na onua asem no emo wrema ehu ebehia se yedi bi exombo sanso na yesan ebeba wura eye abutrika aso eye onua ensema ekoso ewo abutrika efa ne extradition process hono say yebefa no African has edina kwa amonone with regards to eye ni romance scam no onua enya asem koto akra so wedro mabunu lodu wo mu gu kam ebisum court ho a onua ne enya asem koto akra na omkuta ye plaques a onua omo atwetwe so de ye demonstration kese de ekire ye court no se omo enjai abutrika a honso ye bobo ewram ewo ho sanso na ye de yani ebesan akire ye Freddie Blay aso ye abra papa yi court agrantini bila onua sika sei ene yede to ditire so ni nyina yebobo ewram na yede bi aksomo ewo hase at this point in time Mr. Wo say yenko yensim nim na ene di kan a Mr. say we subscribe to the channel hit notification bell no so share na afoforo so ensa entumi enkebi ya na leave you comment under the comment section ho ede amame Mr. Wo say yenko yensim AGH Politics Avenue.
At the Accra High Court, there's also the case of Kwabena Boahen, who is a former National Signals Bureau Director, together with his wife, Angela Boahen. Now, the second prosecution witness is being cross-examined by the defense counsel led by Samuel Tasha. Just before I stepped out, the prosecution witness admitted in court when the question was thrown to her that during her tenure, she's still the head of finance at the National Signals Bureau. She admitted that there hasn't been any flagging of missing 49.1 million CDs, same amount that Kwabena Boahen is being accused of stealing. She also admitted that there hasn't been a case where there's a theft of that amount. Now, when they ordered her further concern, she indicated that she did not know. She just indicated what she had known, which is that she wasn't aware of any flagging of that money with regards to Kwabena Boahen. So that court examination is still ongoing as I speak to you, and it will bring you the full complementary of what is happening in court. So far,
absolutely, Lord. I appreciate those details. Lord Iduasari is my colleague in court. Also, at the Accra High Court for us right now, where that case involving Kwabena Boahen is ongoing, and he tells us second prosecution witness has been telling the court that there was no flagging of the missing amount which Mr. Boahen was accused of stealing. Back here on News Central, and we're taking you to the courts right now in a matter that has garnered quite the interest. And that's because aggrieved youth and supporters of Frederick Kumi, known popularly as Abu Treka, marched up at the Bese Court demanding the release of the Swedru indigene. The Swedru residents displaying placards protested the extradition of Abu Treka. Frederick Kumi is said to be involved in an $8 million romance scam targeting elderly U.S. nationals. He's fighting his extradition in court. Let's connect with Lord Iduasari right now for a bit more in terms of the details. Lord, as to the case proper, where are we now?
Right, Marina, and so today in court, the lead counsel for Abu Treka, Oliver Bakavama, they filed a preliminary objection to the state charges leveled against Abu Treka. Marina, you recall that the state filed another set of charges against Abu Treka after they discontinued the previous matter. Now, the argument of Abu Treka's counsel is that looking at the 1931 extradition treaty between the UK and the US, which is being enforced by Ghana, as well as the extradition Act 1960. It categorically lists the extraditable offenses. And the argument is that when you look at the charge against Frederick Kumi, also known as Abu Chika, which is conspiracy to commit wire fraud and then money laundering, this hasn't been explicitly stated or listed as part of the extraditable offenses under that treaty. And so they wanted the court to take a look at that and then let their client go. Now, the court is going to rule on this preliminary objection at the next hearing, which is been scheduled at next week, Wednesday. So by then we'll know what the court says about their preliminary objection towards the charges that have been filed by the lawyers for Abu Chika. Now, Marina, as this was happening in courts, something interesting was happening outside the courts. Now, it was surprising to know that not less than 40 individuals, young men and women, passed themselves to the premise of Befe, all of them from Suridru, carrying placards saying, having different messages, some of which were saying that free Abu Chika, others were making the case that Abu Chika was part of persons who voted this government, this party into government, and so they should consider all that and then free Abu Chika. Many other messages were carried on the placard, but this is basically what they've been saying, and that they're indicating that they're not going to leave the court until Abu Chika is released. So much so that when the case was done and then the police and Suraj were leaving the premises, they were shaking the gates, and Oliver himself had to go out and go talk to them that they have the right to, as it were, come and show the placards and get their messages across, but they shouldn't inhibit or stop the police from doing their work as far as leaving the premises is concerned. He had to tone them down before they eventually relaxed, and then the police and Suraj left the court premises. And so this is where we are at as far as Abu Chika's case is concerned, Marina.
And just finally on the prosecution, their argument in opposition of that by counsel for Abu Chika. Well,
in court today, the state attorney who represented the state was indicating that if you look at the preliminary objection that the lawyers of Abu Chika are saying that they have filed, the substantive itself or the content of that preliminary objection directly addresses the substantive matter. And so they were asking the court to give procedural guidelines on what to do about it, because if you say you're going to file a preliminary objection to what is happening, you don't directly address the substantive matter, which is yet to be considered anyway. Now, their charges against Abu Chika is that there's conspiracy to commit wire fraud and then money laundering. They indicated that Abu Chika is a fugitive, and so he is to be extradited per the request from the U.S. justice system. Now, back here,
in either the Eastern region or Greater Accra region. Godfrey Dame led the legal team of Freddie Blay. Now, the team of former MPP chairman Freddie Blay had earlier filed a motion at the court challenging the Akropong Circuit Court's decision to remand him in police custody. Our Eastern region correspondent Yvonne Nikwe has a bit more on this story, and she's joining us with those details. Yvonne, what else can you tell us?
Well, what else I could say is the submissions the legal team of the former NPP chairman Freddie Blay made, led by Godfrey Dame. They insisted that Freddie Blay was quite aged and frail and was at the hospital at the time they had filed in the motion. Again, they believe that he was an astute politician who could not abscond or not follow up with their law processes. Again, they said that their client had not been duly served, and so they find it worrying or concern that he should be remanded into police custody. Indeed, the judge had their submission and agreed that their client, which is Freddie Blay, was still at the hospital. Again, he was a politician who could not abscond by air, and so based on those two decisions, they were granting him the bail so that the court processes at the Akropong Circuit Court could go on. We do know that on April 9th, the court process there will be sitting again for the land dispute issue to continue. So this is how far the case has traveled.
And we know that Godfrey Dame spoke to the press after the court proceedings today.
Exactly so. Godfrey Dame spoke to the media today after the hearing. He did say that he insists that the Cropon decision was not healthy and not in good state with the judicial system, and that he was happy that the Kwabena High Court has been fair with the decision. Let's listen to his explanation to the media.
No one can reasonably expect that Freddie Blay is one person who absconded from the judicial, let alone evade the process of the law. And for that matter, clearly, those shall be granted. It's an offense that's quite serious without any basis at all. He never committed the offense that he's charged with, which is concern unlawful damage to property. Indeed, the prosecution's case is the facts of the prosecution's case. It's a show that he was not the one who authorized the alleged destruction of any property. Indeed, there was no property at all on the land.
Well, Yvonne, what do we know about the whereabouts of Mr. Blay now?
Well, the lawyer for Freddie Blay, Godfrey Dame, did mention that Freddie Blay is currently at the University of Ghana Medical Center receiving medical care and hoping that he gets well soon as the Cropon Circuit Court case do sit in again. So this is how far we know about his whereabouts and then his health state as of now.
Well, Yvonne, thank you so much for the report. And Yvonne Ukwe joined us from Koforidua, where a high court has granted Freddie Blay, the former NPP chair, bail of 800,000 cedis. From the eastern region, let's head up north, because in the upper west region, the Regional Health Service is raising serious concerns about worsening staffing challenge and its growing impact on healthcare delivery there. Correspondent Ibrahim Wangara reports that despite modest gains in some service indicators, persistent staff attrition, particularly through interregional transfers, continues to undermine service delivery.
Speaking at the 2025 Regional Health Sector Annual Performance Review in WA, the Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Josephat Nuzak, revealed that the region's total workforce stood at 6,367 at the end of 2025. According to him, the region lost 190 health workers in 2024 and 194 in 2025, whereas only 30 staff were posted to the region last year. This widening gap has left many facilities, especially those in rural and hard-to-reach communities, overstretched.
The region lost 190 staff in 2024 and 194 staff in 2025 to interregional posting. So the rate at which our health workers are leaving the region on reposting to other regions over the past few years is really very concerning.
The situation is said to be even more critical among doctors.
In the case of doctors, I wish to report sadly that out of the 25 medical officers that we posted in 2025, none reported at the end of 2025. After frantic efforts, 3 of them reported.
Despite these challenges, officials say they have taken steps to incentivize workers and employ more doctors. Vice Chairman of Parliament Health Committee and MP for Dafiema Buse Isa, Dr. Sebastian Wininso Sandare, expressed sorrow over the development and call on stakeholders, including MPs, to discuss ways to change the narrative.
So when I heard 3 out of 25 doctors posted to Upper West Region reported, that's sad. We don't have enough. Some are not coming. The ones we have are also leaving. As members of parliament, we want to say that we'll be part of the table as stakeholders that we all discuss and see what do we do to change this narrative.
Health officials say this challenge underscores the urgent need for not just more staff, but equitable distribution and improve quality of care. Ibrahim Wangara, TV3 News, Wa.
Maternal mortality remains a major health concern in Ghana, with the Ashanti region recording figures significantly above the national average. Health authorities are now rolling out targeted interventions to reverse the trend.
Data from the Ghana Health Services in Kumasi indicates that the region recorded 175 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births, far exceeding the national average of 120 per 100,000 in 2025. The situation has raised serious concern among health authorities. At the annual performance review, the Regional Health Directorate attributed part of the challenge to the high number of referrals from neighboring regions, in placing additional pressure on health facilities in Ashanti.
When you look at this figure that we talk about, the case is not only for Ashanti region, it's for Ghana. You have this maternal mortality ratios coming from at least 3 regions. Some of these referrals are coming from Bunu East, Western North, Central region. It means that you cannot sit alone in Ashanti region and prescribe solution.
To address the challenge, the Health Directorate is introducing a clinical mentorship program aimed at strengthening the capacity of frontline health workers, particularly at CHIPS compounds and health centers.
The clinical mentorship program is looking at why are they referring, and if why they are referring can be addressed at that level, why don't you do it? That is one. So that instead of them coming to Konfanoche or going to other secondary referral, why don't you send people to go and build their capacity there? So here, the tool that we will use to be able to even monitor the kind of services that they are delivering has been done.
The intervention also targets improvement in ambulance services, blood availability, and essential medical logistics. The initiative forms part of Koika Ramka network of practice projects supported by the Korean government, focusing on Ashanti, Eastern, and Central regions. Health officials remain optimistic that with sustained collaborations and investment, maternal mortality.
I believe the other injured, when they recover fully, they will also be given the opportunity to join. And yes, 6 people died, but as we speak, 5 families have been able to get replacement that meets our standard. So the 6th family, I believe, as and when they are ready, they will get us a replacement, an appropriate replacement.
No, so even the other 5, they were able to get somebody who meets your standard.
Exactly, because you needed to meet a certain specific standard in order to go through the military training. The training is rigorous, and so we don't want to send anybody who doesn't meet the standard, and then we'll have casualties at training. So everybody here meets the required standard for military training.
Yeah. Finally, from me, can you also explain to us? Some people went for the medicals, and it has become the talk of the day. They went for medicals. We were told they could not pass the medical tests. Is that the end of the road for them?
Not really. Some people have curable diseases. So those people will be given a second opportunity. And in my praise statement, I indicated it. So such people need to take the necessary medication. They will be invited at no cost to them to redo it. So those who have diseases that are curable.
We ain't some who team course or channel so. Mammy and I was so jemre. That's an so bad in the Dumia. Unia, you must sign a share. Subscribe to the channel. Share na unyanso ensa into me inka information ni bi. Na when share onyo kase say why this at the amame. At this point in time, Macram.